He walked into the restaurant like he owned the world. His shoes gleamed, his watch sparkled brighter than the chandelier above, and every eye turned to watch him pass. The air shifted as if even the silence bent to make room for him. He was known to many as a self-made millionaire, a man whose confidence filled every corner of a room, and whose arrogance followed him like a shadow. That night, he wasn't there for business or pleasure. He was there to test people, or perhaps, to prove that money could make him feel superior again. The waitress who approached his table was young, no older than 23. Her name was Anna. Her uniform was clean but faded, her shoes slightly worn from endless shifts. There was exhaustion in her smile, but still a kind of grace that no wealth could buy. She greeted him softly. "Good evening, sir. Would you like to see the menu?" Her voice trembled a little, not from fear, but from habit, the habit of being spoken down to, corrected, or ignored. The man glanced up with a grin, his tone half joking but sharp enough to cut. "Serve me in English, and I'll pay you $1,000, he said with a laugh that made his companions chuckle. They thought it was clever, amusing, a game for the rich. Anna blinked, unsure if she had heard correctly. "Sir, you heard me," he said. "Serve me in English, properly. If you can get through my order without a single mistake, I'll give you $1,000. If you mess up, you get nothing. Deal." The laughter around the table grew louder. It wasn't just a joke anymore, it was a show. A display of power, a reminder of class difference. But what none of them saw was the way Anna's fingers tightened around her notepad. She wasn't angry, not yet. Just quietly humiliated, yet something in her eyes flickered, a soft defiance born from years of swallowing pride. She nodded. "Okay, sir, deal." The table went silent for a moment. The millionaire smiled, amused by her courage. "All right then, let's begin." As he gave his complicated order, rare steak, imported wine, specific sauces, all pronounced in accented English, Anna listened closely. Her accent was thick, her vocabulary limited, but she repeated each word carefully, slowly, making sure not to miss a thing. Her hands shook slightly as she wrote, but her eyes didn't leave his. It wasn't a challenge, it was dignity holding its ground. The night passed slowly. Every time she returned to the table, she spoke in English, hesitant but determined. She mispronounced some words, paused often, and apologized when she stumbled. The men laughed again, but the millionaire, for reasons he couldn't explain, stopped laughing after a while. There was something uncomfortable about her persistence. Something human he hadn't expected to feel. When the meal ended, Anna returned with the bill. She placed it gently on the table and said softly, "Thank you, sir. I try my best." Her grammar wasn't perfect, but her sincerity made up for every missing word. She bowed slightly and walked away. The millionaire stared at her back, the sound of her voice echoing in his mind. "Serve me in English, and I'll pay you $1,000. It had been a careless joke. But why did it feel like the words were burning him now? He reached into his wallet, pulled out $1,000 check, and called her back. She hesitated before returning, her eyes wary. He handed her the check. "You earned it," he said quietly. She looked at the paper, then back at him. "Sir, I didn't do good. My English is broken. You don't need to give me." He smiled faintly. "You did better than me. You respected me while I disrespected you. That's worth more than perfect English." But she shook her head. "Sir, I don't take money for pity. I want to earn it. Truly." For the first time in years, the millionaire didn't know what to say. Her words reached somewhere deep inside him, a place he'd buried beneath success and pride. He pocketed the check again, embarrassed, and left without another word. The next day, something unusual happened. The millionaire couldn't stop thinking about her. It wasn't attraction, it was guilt, mixed with curiosity. Who was this girl who refused money but carried such quiet strength? He found himself returning to the restaurant the following evening. Anna wasn't there. One of the older waitresses told him she worked the morning shift and studied at night. "Studies?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," the woman said, "she's been trying to learn English. She wants to become a teacher someday. Says she wants to teach children who can't afford school." The millionaire fell silent. For years, he had told people his money could buy anything, comfort, class, even respect. But here was a girl who had nothing, yet carried herself with a dignity he'd never earned. The next morning, he returned again, this time early. Anna was there, arranging tables, her hair tied back neatly. When she saw him, her eyes widened, uncertain. He smiled gently. "May I sit?" She nodded. He waited until she approached, then spoke softly. "I came to apologize. What I said that night, it was cruel. I was wrong." She stood silent for a moment, then said, "You are forgiven, sir. I have met many people who think poor means less human. You are not the first." Her honesty stung more than anger ever could. "I want to help," he said suddenly. "Not out of pity, but respect. If you'll allow me, I'll pay for your education, full scholarship, books, everything." Anna's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't speak. Finally, she said, "Why, sir? Why me?" He sighed. "Because you reminded me of who I was before I became this." He gestured vaguely at his designer suit. "I used to be poor too. I forgot what it felt like to be hungry, not for food, but for hope." For a moment, the restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Anna wiped her eyes and whispered, "If you do this, sir, promise me something. Don't give because you feel sorry. Give because you believe." He nodded. "I promise." From that day onward, something changed in both of them. He arranged for her classes, found her an English tutor, and made sure she had time to study. In return, she worked part-time in his office, managing small tasks. Her progress was slow but remarkable. Every evening, she practiced English with him, reading aloud with the same shy determination she'd shown that night. Months turned into a year. The Millionaire's employees noticed a change in him. Softer words, kinder gestures, a warmth that had been missing. He often said, "Sometimes the richest lessons come from the poorest mouths." One evening, after finishing her final English exam, Anna came to his office holding her certificate. "Sir," she said proudly, "I passed. I speak English better now." He smiled, genuinely happy. "You don't just speak English, Anna," he said. "You speak humanity." She laughed, shaking her head. "You helped me, sir. Without you, I'd still be serving tables." He leaned back in his chair. "And without you, I'd still be serving my ego." Years later, Anna stood on a stage, addressing a crowd at a Literacy Foundation event. She had become a teacher, then a founder of her own school for underprivileged children. The millionaire sat in the front row, older now, his pride replaced with peace. When she took the microphone, her voice trembled, but only from emotion. "There was once a man," she began, "who mocked me for my broken English. That night, I could have walked away. But I chose to try. He could have kept laughing, but he chose to listen. And because he did, I am standing here today." The audience listened silently as she continued. "He told me to serve him in English, and I failed. But he served me something greater, faith. He believed in a girl who barely believed in herself." Her eyes found him in the crowd, and she smiled through tears. "To that man, I owe not just my education, but the lesson that no one is too rich to learn, and no one too poor to teach." The hall erupted in applause, but the millionaire sat motionless, tears glistening in his eyes. When she finished, he stood and walked up to the stage. Taking her hand, he said quietly into the microphone, "The $1,000 I promised that night, I never gave you. But I think you've earned something far greater, the respect of everyone here, including me." She smiled, squeezing his hand. "Respect," she said softly, "is all I ever wanted." The crowd rose to their feet, not just to applaud the success of a teacher and a businessman, but to celebrate the beauty of humility, the bridge that had united two worlds divided by wealth and words. After the ceremony, as they stood outside under the warm glow of the evening lights, Anna turned to him and said, "Do you ever regret that night?" He smiled faintly. "Yes, but not for what I said. For what it revealed about me. I was blind to people's worth. That night, you made me see." She nodded. "And you made me believe." There was a long silence between them, filled not with awkwardness, but with understanding. Then she added quietly, "Sometimes, sir, when I teach my students, I remember that night, how scared I was, how small I felt. And I tell them, don't let someone's laughter make you forget your dream." He looked at her with quiet admiration. You've become more than I ever imagined. No, she said gently. I just became who I always was. You just helped me see it. As they parted that night, the millionaire looked up at the sky, feeling a peace he hadn't known in decades. The stars didn't seem distant anymore. Somewhere, between laughter and learning, between pride and humility, he had found what true wealth meant. Years later, after his passing, a letter was found in his desk addressed to her. It read, "Greater than, Dear Anna, you once said you didn't want money for pity, only for purpose. I kept that in my heart. Enclosed with this letter is the deed to the building I bought in your town. It's yours now, a school for children who dream, even when the world laughs. Call it whatever you wish, but I hope you remember our first meeting not with shame, but with gratitude. Thank you for serving me, not in English, but in humanity. With respect, always."